Each and every day, enjoy the Simple Six menu at Subway. An entire made-for-you meal featuring one of 6 6-inch sandwiches like the Italian BMT or Black Forest ham, with any bag of chips and a 21-ounce drink, all for only $6. Subway. Eat fresh.
The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects. The BS Report. The BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Welcome to part 2 of our annual NFL Over.Under Podcast. That's Cousin Sal.
I love gambling.
Tim Tebow joined us, the Jersey. We're doing the NFC. If you missed part 1, we did the AFC. The AFC is confusing. Seems like there's about 5 good teams, maybe 6.
Yeah.
Hard to tell who stands out. It kind of scared me how confident we were about how we felt about a lot of the teams.
A lot of bad teams, too. Yeah.
NFC's all over the map. It's a much more interesting conference.
I love it.
And you're a Cowboys fan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Patriot fan, obviously, so I can look at the NFC. Can look at the NFC a little bit more objectively, and it's all over the map. And I have a lot of really hard opinions on this one. I feel like I'm just more fired up to discuss this conference.
All right.
We're going to start with the NFC North.
Okay.
The Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers for the first time, like not the automatic first QB in fantasy, and
right.
First time in a couple of years, and people talking about they're going to run the ball more,
mm-hmm.
and I'm feeling the opposite. I think he's going to have a monster year.
You do?
I like that Randall Cobb. I don't think they're going to miss Jennings. I think they'll have the receivers. I think the running backs are a little better.
Right.
And it's not that he had an off year, but it wasn't like a full-fledged Aaron Rodgers year. And I think he's super competitive, and I think he's just going to come out and kick everybody's ass.
I think they turned the corner, though. There were teams like this in the AFC, like the Texans. And I think they're a really good, really solid, really dependable regular season team.
Right.
Double-digit wins almost automatically if you have no injuries. He'll make all the receivers better no matter what. Fantasy delight with all those receivers. The running game, like Denver, it's between Lacey and Franklin, and they still have James Starks. I don't know what they want to do.
Didn't he just get hurt?
Starks got hurt?
I think he just got hurt. Yeah, like yesterday.
I've been sitting in this chair for 48 hours. I don't know.
Yeah.
I shut myself down. But the big thing is that he was sacked 51 times last year, I think, and like 9 times in the Seattle game, I think, in the first half or something. And worse against San Francisco. They did a lot in the draft.
They went heavy on D in the draft, right? Except for the running back.
Jones. Yeah, they're looking.
So if you're making the case against them, you would say they have trouble protecting Rodgers.
Right.
The defense was a sieve last year,
mm-hmm.
and why does that mean anything more than 10 wins?
Right.
Then you flip it around the other way and you go, well, Rodgers is going to be great. Now, their road schedule is really tough. These are just their 8 road games. At San Francisco week 1, at Cincy, at Baltimore,
mm-hmm.
at Minnesota, at New York Giants on a Sunday night, at Detroit on Thanksgiving, the 12:30 game.
Yeah.
That's brutal. And then at Dallas, at Chicago. Not a gimme on the 8 road games. Like, you're lucky if you go 5-3 with those 8. You're more realistically going 4-4 or 3-5.
Right.
And that's my fear with their over-under.
And their extra games are at San Francisco and Atlanta. And
that sucks, too.
That's rough. But so their number is 10.5, I'm showing. I have them slightly under. I have them at 10-6.
Yeah, you look at the sked, as much as I like them.
You're going to say sked again? You did that for the first half.
You look at their sked. There's not a bad team on their schedule.
No.
You go through all 16 games. The worst possible team they're playing is the Cleveland Browns. And we both think the Cleveland Browns are going to be pretty good.
We like the Browns.
I guess you could say the Bears might not be good this year, but I like that coach.
Yeah.
I think that 10.5 is too high. I like the team. I just think it's we saw, what was it, last year, the Giants?
Yeah.
I really like them. You were like, nah, their schedule's brutal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it'll be fine. And then you week after week, you're playing basically a playoff game, and it's just, you wear down.
And they're a team that everyone's out to get. Like, it's still a gold star if you could beat the Packers in Lambeau or wherever.
Just the first 3 weeks, they're at San Francisco, home for the Redskins, and at Cincy.
Yeah.
That could be 1-2 right there.
Right.
I'd be surprised if they were 2-1.
I'd be surprised at a lot of things. I'd be surprised if they won 12 games. I'd be surprised if they won 9. So I think it's sort of right in
somewhere in there. 10.5 seems about a half game too high.
That's what I say. 10 wins.
I think 10-6. I wouldn't bet it, but I was
if someone wants to
disappointed.
bet it for you, you'll accept the ticket.
I would
Okay.
be excited, but thank you.
All right, you heard that.
All right, so the Lions are a team some people like.
Yeah.
And the case is they lost a lot of close games, had some bad luck.
Very bad luck.
They have some blue chippers.
Mm-hmm.
They
Lots of playmakers on this
a
team.
lot of playmakers. Their schedule is not a cakewalk either, but at
Fourth
least
place
they've
schedule, though. This is
Right.
This is what you have to figure out. Which is the Lions, the 2011 Lions or the 2012 team? I mean, they made the playoffs. They looked good in 11, and then they won 4 games last year. I don't know. I have them at 9 wins. I would go over with them. What is it?
It's 7.5, but a lot of action on the over, -185.
Yeah. It's a tough division. These teams beat each other up.
I'm going to go the other way.
You're
They
going
never
under.
fired their. No. I'm just saying, like the case against them, because I agree they have a lot of
Right.
playmakers. Especially everybody loves Nick Fairley this year.
Yeah.
Talking about like he's going to be an impact guy, but
And
I
Ziggy
don't-
Ansah, like they finished up that front four is going to be really tough.
right, they have an identity. Stafford's going to throw the ball. Stafford's still like really young.
Mm-hmm.
I think what is he like? I think
16 and a half years old.
He's 60.
Yeah.
I think he's like 25 or whatever. He's still one of the youngest good quarterbacks in the league.
He chucked it, over 700 times? Something
Yeah.
crazy. And like you said, a lot of bad luck. You talked with Barry about it. Johnson was tackled inside the
Oh, my
5,
God.
like 5 times, 13 times, inside the 1 5 times. So
Well, the other thing is they might have the semblance of a running game this year because of Reggie Bush.
Reggie Bush is big.
Well, you always hated, even though Mikael LeSure got a couple, he had a little bit of a fantasy bounce there, but just watching them, it wasn't like, you never felt like they had a good running back.
Yeah.
If Reggie Bush is good for them, that could open things up. Here's where I get nervous. I don't like the coach.
Yeah.
I thought that team was really immature.
Right.
Shot itself in the foot over and over again. I didn't like the personality of the team. I thought they were their own worst enemy a lot of the times. A lot of dumb penalties, a lot of just dumb turnovers, and
Yeah.
he's still there. I would have gotten rid of him last year, but for some reason they brought him back.
He's a good hot seat coach. We should keep that in mind.
He's a
Maybe that's
really
a good
good hot
hedge
seat
against
coach.
our over, but
He's a really good hot seat coach because they're going home for Minnesota, at Arizona, at Washington, home for Chicago, then at Green Bay, at Cleveland. And they could be 2-4 at the end of that.
yeah.
And then everybody would be mad.
I like them a little. Their extra games out of the division is at Arizona and Tampa Bay. I think they're too good to play a 4th place schedule. If they get 8 wins, it's over, right? It goes over? Yeah, 7.5.
Well, I'm not going to make my pick yet because I want to get to the next team, Minnesota.
Okay.
Minnesota made the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
The classic team that shouldn't have been a playoff team, but every year there's the one team that overachieves a little, gets some schedule breaks, they have a great player, et cetera, et cetera. You can make a case, Minnesota, they flip Percy Harvin, who then gets hurt in the draft picks. They end up with 3 first-rounders. They addressed a whole bunch of things. They got Ponder, who, maybe not totally as bad as people think, but, he can get them a little better. They got a full year out of Peterson. Like, there's a lot of reasons to tuck yourself into this team. The schedule is a nightmare.
Right.
I mean, just on the road, they have the other 3 NFC North teams. They have the Giants. They have Dallas. They have Seattle, Cincinnati, and Baltimore. Those are their 8 road games.
Pittsburgh and London is a home game, so that's a road game too. Yeah, they
have that as well?
They're in London. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, it doesn't really end for them. Their extra games are the Panthers and at Seattle, and
yes, they play Baltimore and Cincinnati on the road.
On the road, yeah.
And they play Pittsburgh and London.
Yeah.
And then they play Cleveland at home. So that's the one good one. But
tough schedule.
That's not great.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, what'd they do with the coach? I forget.
With Leslie Frazier?
He's still there, right?
Yeah, he's still there.
He's not a hot seat guy.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But, what's one interesting thing I saw, 20 players are in the last year of their contract.
For Minnesota?
They're very young, yeah. A lot of young guys all around. They lost Antoine Winfield, the cornerback. He's going to be hard to replace, but they did a really good job in the draft. The defensive tackle from Florida, Floyd, and Xavier Rhodes, and Cordero Patterson.
Patterson has got some fantasy buzz.
I have them at 7 wins. I just think this division beats the crap out of each other.
Well,
I don't
really,
like
you
their
have to
road
pick
games.
them. Detroit, Minnesota, Chicago. You just have to pick one of those three that you like.
I think
somebody's going to win 10 games.
But they have them all around 8 wins. It's possible that could happen. But I think what the Vikings number is, what is it? It's 7. I have them exactly at 7. I have that as a tie. I don't know. I would go under if I had to.
Let me ask you this. What team do you think is most likely to go 6-10 or worse in the NFC North? I would say Chicago.
Chicago or
Let's
Minnesota.
talk about Chicago, and then we can figure out these three. Because I do think it's going to be a paper, rock, scissors type situation.
They went 10-6 last year.
Chicago.
That surprises me.
I know.
And they beat the crap out of the Cowboys. I know that for sure. But I was surprised to see they were 10-6.
Now, people like this coach.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of good buzz about this coach. Outside the box kind of a guy. We have some good coaches that came in. Because I really like Chip Kelly, too. I felt like they shouldn't have gone 10-6 last year.
Yeah. I don't understand why they should be better than they are every year. Like the offense adds up. Marshall, the defensive players are all ball hawks. He gets sacked a lot, Cutler. That's the problem. It's the same problem as Rodgers. It's sort of like a poor man's Packers.
I want to talk about Cutler because a couple of Jay Cutler facts.
Yeah.
Last 3 years, sacked 148 times. Or last four years, 56 games, 148 sacks.
Too many.
So it's basically 3 a game. His last 3 years, 3,274 passing yards in 2010, 2319 in 2011, 3033 in 2012.
Yeah.
He has barely thrown for 8,500 yards in the past 3 years total.
That's not good.
He missed 6 games in 2011, missed 1 in 12 and 10. Last year, 19 TDs, 14 interceptions. The advanced metrics, they think he's okay. He's 30 years old.
Right.
Like, at what point do we just say this isn't happening? Like, look at your guy, Romo, who everybody's ready to get rid of. Mm-hmm. And Romo threw for 4,900 yards last year.
Thank you. Yeah. And Brandon Marshall's there. And,
And they got the good first year, Brandon Marshall, the troubled guy they took a chance on. But what are the odds that keeps going?
No.
I think that this, to me, is the team that could fall off.
I have him at 7.
Plus, what if Lovie Smith was a better coach than, he did average like 9-10 wins a year.
Mm-hmm. What's their record after 7 games? There they are. Cincinnati, Minnesota, at Pittsburgh, at Detroit, New Orleans, the Giants, at Washington.
See, here's the thing. They could go through. They could be 3-1 after those first 4 if Pittsburgh's not good.
I got them
and if they can beat Detroit.
I have them at 3-4 after those 7. But
yeah, I mean 2-5 could be realistic.
I don't love it.
I don't like them either.
Marty Bennett's a tight end now.
They're 8.5.
Marty Bennett.
I go under for them. I go over for Minnesota.
You have 8 wins for Minnesota. All right.
I'm going to go slightly under for Detroit.
All right. I went over for Detroit, under for Minnie, tie for Minnie at 7, and under for the Bears, and slightly under for the Packers.
Is it possible that this division isn't that good, and it seems like it's good, but it's not?
Yeah.
And that there are other, maybe the NFC South is the really good division.
Yeah.
Maybe the NFC, maybe this is the worst of the 4 divisions, and we're just looking at them and thinking.
Interesting.
I might go that strategy.
But it could be the worst. Now, they play the NFC East and they play the AFC North. Those are their divisions. So,
I don't like that division. NFC South, Atlanta.
Yeah.
A lot of good buzz on Atlanta.
Love them.
Came super duper close to making the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Got a little bit better. Steven Jackson.
Great regular season team.
They got OC.
Yeah.
They went heavy on the defense in the draft.
Yeah.
They got a little taste of it last year. They got some confidence.
Right.
Their schedule isn't a disaster. They got the AFC East, so that's good.
At Green Bay and Washington are their extra games. They're at Buffalo and Toronto, which is like an extra home game.
Here's where they got screwed, though. They're at New Orleans. They have the Pats at home.
Yeah.
And then they're at Green Bay and at San Francisco. Those are 3 tough ones. So their over-under is 9.5 on Sportsbook. Why is it so low?
I took them.
That was another sucker one that jumped out at me. Like, how did they not win 10 games?
Well, I guess it's what you think New Orleans is going to do, and how
why can't they both be good?
How much Carolina or Tampa is going to improve? Because probably one of them will. So, might not be room for a 12-win team in that division.
13-3 last year, and we made fun of them the whole year because it was one of those doing it with Mayor's bad schedule, 13-3. Mm-hmm. I just think they're going to be better.
They have a soft area in there, weeks 5 through 9. Jets, Tampa Bay, at Arizona, and at Carolina. That could be fun for them. But really, week 1 at New Orleans, that's a big sign, right? If they beat New Orleans there,
right,
you think they're a lock to win the division.
And if they lose that one, now you have to go 10-5 to hit the 10-6. I think they go 10-6. I like the
10-6 exactly.
New Orleans. It seems like you like them. I really like them.
Well, it's hard. You look at game by game and you say they'll win, they'll lose, they'll win. I like 10 there. 10 wins there.
So I've said this theory before. I'm going to say it again, and I'll probably write it too. So I'm going to triple dip this theory. I think they're going to be in FU mode the whole season. I think they got screwed with that Sean Payton thing. There's no way he should have been suspended for the whole year, and it was really dubious, and they made a real mistake in not fighting it in the moment. And they just really screwed that up. It cost them the season. And I think Breeze and Payton are just going to unleash.
But Breeze was great last year.
He was great.
They put up all the points they want. It's the defense that was the worst, almost statistically all time. But they worked on it. The draft, they got John Jenkins, they got Vaccaro, the safety, Keenan Lewis, the cornerback from Pittsburgh. They're poised to make a run and be in full FU mode. I agree with you there.
Breeze he almost had 5,200 yards.
Yeah.
But I thought he was sloppy last year. 19 picks. Like I didn't feel like it was vintage Breeze.
Played from behind a lot. Didn't he have 5 in one game? In 19, he had 5 on a Thursday night.
They felt sloppy to me, and that's what happens when you're being coached by the janitor. But Peyton back, he had a year off, and I just think they're going to be in reclaim the throne mode. And also, like, all these tight ends have gone away except Jimmy Graham. Like, he's by far the best tight end now.
Yeah. They'll score as much as they want, I think. It's just that does one team have more than 10 wins? I think both them and the Falcons, they both have 10. And where are they? They're at 9.5 also.
Dude, when are we doing Mike and the Dog for one of these teams?
We're going to do what, for every game?
Yeah. I mean, you could talk me into it being the Saints.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, Dog. New Orleans Saints, week 1, home, Atlanta.
That is Mike. I did some research. Atlanta is the team to beat in that division. Don't jump on me, Mike. I think that is a win for the Saints. They set the pace early.
At Tampa, week 2.
At Tampa, boy, you don't want to throw against Revis. You don't want to do it.
They've had a lot of trouble there, Dog.
Mike, what did you just say? That was a great thing you just said, that they have a lot of trouble.
A lot of trouble.
Unbelievable.
Historically, a lot of trouble.
That is a great point, Mike. You could eat 3 Diet Cokes for that. That's a loss.
Home for Arizona, week 3.
Mike, I'm going to say that's a win.
Monday night, week 4, the Miami Dolphins in New Orleans.
Miami Dolphins Mike, I'm going to say that's a loss. I love Miami this year. Don't give me that look, Mike. You're going to bite my head off.
There's no way that's a loss. I have the Saints 3-1 right now.
All right, 3-1. Go ahead.
At Chicago, week 5.
That is a win.
A win in Chicago.
And a win in Chicago, Mike.
At New England, week 6.
Loss.
So you have the Saints 4-2.
Yeah,
4-2 right now.
We're not doing this 10 more games.
No, we're going to do it.
All right, go ahead.
Buffalo, at New York, Dallas, next 3.
But win? Which New York, Mike?
The bad one.
Win.
The bad one. The terrible one. The one that's going to have a coach get fired.
Win, Mike.
San Francisco, week 10, week 11.
That's a loss. Bad matchup,
Loss
Mike.
at home.
Bad matchup, Mike.
Lost at home, Dog? At Atlanta, 4 days later, November 21st, Thursday night.
That is a Thursday night. They will lose that game. That's revenge for Atlanta, and that tightens things up in the division.
10 days later, Dog, brutal schedule. Humongous brutal schedule right now.
Mike, your balls are hanging out. Please zip your fly up, Mike.
At Seattle, Monday night.
Loss.
So you're saying they could lose home for San Francisco, at Atlanta, at Seattle, loss.
Where are you now? How many wins?
Man, you're talking about 5 losses now, Dog. 5, 6 losses.
You're true. You almost got out of character there. Yeah.
Last 4. Carolina, at St. Louis, at Carolina, Tampa.
Win. win.
Doug, I'll tell you what. They could sweep those last 4.
That's it. Good job, Mike. 10-6. Why even play the games?
Their over is 9.5.
Oh, good. We're out of it.
I think they go at least 10-6.
Yeah. That's what
And you could talk me in 11-5.
It's a dogfight.
Because who knows? By the time they play that Seattle game, like that entire Seattle team might be involved in the next Balco.
Yeah, that's true.
You
That's
know?
true. Yeah.
Or some biogenesis scandal. Freaking half the defense has been suspended in the last year.
But then why do you so then these next two teams, you sort of got to go low with their totals. You're at +8 now if they're 10
But
and 2,
do you
10
though?
and 6.
We've had divisions where everybody's good in the division. Like every year there's a great division.
But they're playing the NFC West. They're not going to get their games from there.
But they're also playing the AFC East.
Yeah. They're not going to get a ton
I think that evens itself
They're not going
out.
to get a ton of wins from Seattle and San Francisco.
So here's the case against Carolina. They said the words, you know what, we're going to bring Ron Rivera back.
Yeah.
That's your case against them.
He's in a contract year.
Your case for them, their front seven might be one of the best in the league.
It's very good. Yeah.
It's like top 5.
Mm-hmm.
And Luke Kuechly looks like a
Defensive
absolute
Player of the Year last year.
It looks like he's going to win this year's J.J. Watt Award for defensive player that gets everybody the most excited and highlights. Like he had a great highlight last weekend where it was like a pitch to the left and he just like ran through everybody and just annihilated the guy.
Right.
Really good front seven.
Charles Johnson, Beeson. I
And
like
Cam.
him. But here's the thing: they start slow every year. There's one thing: they were 1-6 last year to start, 1-5 in 2011. They can't go 1-5, and the toughest schedule in the league.
Toughest.
The toughest if you go by teams that made the playoffs last year. Very tough. Starting week 8.
It can't be tougher than that Minnesota schedule.
Starting in week 8 at Tampa, Atlanta, at San Fran, New England, at Miami, Tampa, and at New Orleans.
They had the Jets
is
in there,
rough.
though.
The Jets is the first game, right? They'll beat them.
They get to play the Jets, the Bills.
Your
I don't think
ex-boyfriend's not
Tampa's gonna
doing
be
it
good.
for you. It's not. He's not doing it for you.
I don't know why you think Tampa's going to be good.
Yeah.
Why do you think
No,
Tampa's
I
going to
don't.
be good?
What do I have them at?
Let's do
I have them
Tampa,
at-
and then we'll
all right.
do both of these.
I have them at 8 wins.
So Carolina is their over under 7.5,
Yeah.
and Tampa's over under is also 7.5. Tampa traded their number 1 pick for Darrelle Revis, which we liked. I like that move.
Right.
They signed Deshaun Goldson. They drafted Jonathan Banks, who has no second A in his name
Mm-hmm.
and has an H.
Yeah.
He spells it Jonathan.
That's passive aggressive.
Johnthanthan.
I don't like that.
I really feel like hospitals should have spelling coordinators for the birth certificate. I just
Right.
think it's the right move. And they have
So
Doug
tough
Martin,
on defense.
second year running backs. Usually that's the year they go crazy.
Yeah. I mean, their
here's-
defense is loaded. Bowers, McCoy, Claiborne, Revis, Mark Barron, second year. Goldston, they got. I mean, they have 2 offensive
They
linemen
could
back.
have a really good defense.
If your ex-boyfriend, Josh Freeman, can get his together, I'll do you one better. Mike Glennon could be the starting quarterback by week 6.
Well, so that to me is the shadow hanging over this team.
Yeah.
Josh Freeman absolutely completely fell apart last season. And,
Yeah.
and everybody's saying it was because they lost the 2 guys on the offensive
Right.
line. Now those
They're
guys
back.
are back.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's going to be better. I'm also not positive I like the coach.
Yeah.
The coach kind of seemed like he was one of those hard asses, and
Shiano,
it works
yeah.
for 9 games, but then by like week 13, everybody's like, F this guy.
Right.
And that's going into now to season 2.
The
They
whole
start
nail-down
out-
formation.
They played the Jets in New York in week 1, but then they have New Orleans at home, at New England, Arizona, and a bye. So if you're making the case for Tampa, they have to be 3-1 coming out of that.
It could be.
Then Philly at Atlanta, Carolina on Thursday at Seattle.
At Detroit and Philly are their extra games. I like them for 8. And what's their over?
7.5.
7.5.
I'm too scared of the quarterback.
So they're 7.5.
I don't think you can win 8 games with a quarterback. And if he plays like he did the last 4 games,
God, you're swearing like a sailor
sorry, I didn't
today.
mean to.
My God.
But if he's not at least average, I don't see how they win 8 games.
Yeah. Carolina and Tampa are both 7 and 8. So if you have to go 1 over, you're going 1 over and 1 under.
Here's the I think Carolina I'm going over, and I'm going under with Tampa,
right.
and I think
We disagree. I went just the other way.
well that's all right. We can disagree.
Yeah. Oh, we
I think
will.
the fans and the media really focus on a QB like that, and he might not be that great to begin with, or he's got some sort of something going on in his head, I think it just gets worse and worse and worse. And
you're talking about the jersey you're wearing? I know that guy? Tebow. All right, so the division odds. New Orleans.
We didn't do this for the NFC North.
We didn't? Oh,
Packers are 1-2.
Right.
Bears are 2-1. Vikings are 5-2, and Detroit's 3-1. I don't really like any of those bets.
Man,
I don't think those odds are good. But the South, Atlanta's even. New Orleans 6-5. Tampa 4-1. Carolina 3-1. Why do they make it so hard to find value?
You're better off just betting Atlanta versus New Orleans straight up. Their second regular season game. Whoever you want them.
I think those are both stayaways.
Yeah.
NFC West.
Great division. And I apologize.
Really fun division.
I mean, 2 years ago, I was at least all over them saying how bad they were. Now they're, I think, clearly the best division in football.
San Francisco, their over-under is 11. I think that's fair.
I went under, and I tried to make a case for them not making the playoffs. I tried to get cute, but they're just too loaded on defense. Those linebackers.
I like how they just randomly picked up Nnamdi Asomugha. Not that he's been a stud the last 2 years,
but
just
that, for nothing.
He was clearly on a bad team in a bad situation and checked out a little bit. Now he married Kerry Washington from Scandal.
He did?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And she's going to take his name?
Be Kerry Asomugha?
Kerry Asomugha.
No, I think she's going to stay Kerry Washington.
Oh, that's a bad move.
So the Niners.
They're thin at receiver, for sure. They're thin at receiver.
That's the hole.
Yeah.
They lost Crabtree. They drafted A.J. Jenkins in the first round last year and traded him, and as Robert Mays dubbed it, an August tradition when the two first-round bust draft picks get traded for one another.
I like that.
It's almost, I don't even know what would be the domestic, like, if I didn't like a TV I bought and you didn't like,
right.
I don't know, what would you have that you didn't like? Like you spent $600 on a punching bag, but it was too big for your oldest son.
Yeah.
All right, so your oldest son for both of my dogs and two plasmas.
We'll take it every August.
Yeah.
Well, I think that it's hard to pencil them in at less than 10 wins. But the first 5 is tough. It could get interesting. This could be the team that everyone's like, what the hell is wrong with the Niners? Green Bay, at Seattle, Indy, at St. Louis, and Houston. Could be 2 and 3.
I don't know if that happens on Harbaugh's watch.
Nah.
I really made a real attempt to try to talk myself into them being a disappointment and a bust, and they just don't.
I know.
They don't really fit any of the reasons. Like,
they're stacked.
Oh, I'm sorry, their receivers aren't that good. Like, lots of teams have bad receivers. The way they're going to use Kaepernick, I don't see it.
3 and 2 after 5, I think. I think they struggle a little to get to 10.
I don't know if their schedule's as hard as you think it is either.
Just those first 5.
Like, if Indy's not good, and if the Rams aren't good, those are 2 of their first 4. They have Tennessee and Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Those are 2 of their road games. Those are 2 of the best road games you can have.
And as a division, we should talk about that. They're playing the AFC South, which is...
I think that's great. Oh, I'm sorry. The Jacksonville game's in London.
Yeah.
And then...
So 2 London and 1 Toronto game? Is that what we have so far?
Why are they trying to get the NFL going in London like
I
this?
don't know.
London people just want to watch soccer.
Yeah.
And hang out in pubs.
You were there, right?
They like to drink beers and stand outside pubs and smoke cigarettes on each other, and it's awesome. I love London.
That would be a good sport.
I want to live in London. I swear, Sal, if London had an NBA team, I'm out.
Really?
Out.
Why?
I'm done with America.
So pretentious.
I know.
I asked you at dinner last night.
I'm not bringing my family with me. It's just be me.
You already traded for my son. What are you talking about?
What?
You're just going to leave him?
I forgot.
I asked you your second favorite country. You said England. And
the thing is, like, I had the best England experience you could possibly have, right? I went there for an awesome sporting event, and the weather was incredible the entire time.
Right, yeah.
And I don't think that happens ever.
You're going to smoke too many cigarettes there.
Don't judge me by my behavior last night.
10 wins.
I had to do what I had to do to win money. There needs to be the calibration of nicotine, alcohol, and playing 2 hands is what has been working.
It worked out.
So, you think 11's too high?
Well, I have them 10. Yeah, I think 11's too high.
I think that you either push or it goes under. I don't think they go 12 and 4.
Right. Yeah. Go under.
It's going to be it's going to be too easy for really good teams to slow them down a little bit because of the lack of receivers.
It's hard to watch their games and have the under, but if I gun to my head, I would go under there.
Also, what's the track record of teams that had a devastating Super Bowl loss?
Interesting.
Like, usually that doesn't work out.
I don't know. I mean, you should know. You had two of them fairly recently. How did the Patriots?
We didn't make the Super Bowl the next year.
Yeah.
Well, we did well. Thanks for bringing those
10
up.
wins.
Seattle.
Well, I feel bad because this was your team last year, but
I know.
love them
And then they
this year.
started the Pt.2 suspensions. Really make me unhappy.
I know, but I mean,
And
they had
everybody
that
just
stretch.
saying it's Adderall. Like,
Yeah.
come on. I don't know. Well, a couple things with them. The Percy Harvin trade was a really ambitious, bold move. They gave him a nice contract. He was going to be the featured guy in their offense with Lynch.
Right.
It looked great on paper, and now he might not play.
Right.
And to me, that's just a bad sign. I think if you have like the 8 guys you're counting on, and you're removing one of those 8 guys before the season starts, that's bad karma. I don't like it.
Real quick, if there's any way you're watching this before draft, savvy move, 16th round, take Percy Harvin in a keeper league. Someone did it to us yesterday.
Yeah, you got
I
very
didn't like
upset.
it. Oh, yeah.
I got upset that you have a keeper league.
I don't like being outsmarted.
But
Same situation as the Niners now with Harvin out. Sidney Rice and Golden Tate are the receivers. They don't really scare anybody, but I think that's enough for someone like Russell Wilson.
Well, my BFF, the second half of the season, his stats went like this.
Yeah.
And he was great in the playoffs.
Oh,
and
my God. They had 4 games where they scored like 160 points.
Kaepernick it's weird because Kaepernick's probably a little more frightening.
Yeah.
Just because, coming around it just seems like he can run like a 3.9 40. But Wilson was just so great.
I think he's smarter about it, Wilson.
He's
I
so
don't even know how
good
to
at just
explain it.
creating an extra second or two, and he just did that over and over again in the Atlanta game.
They're first in points allowed. They're young defense. There's nothing not to like about this
So
team.
you agree that if you had to bet on one of these 2 teams to make the Super Bowl, I'm like, one of these 2 teams are making the Super Bowl, which one is it? I think I would bet on Seattle.
Seattle.
Especially because we didn't talk about the home. The home field advantage they have.
Yeah.
And they have, here's their home teams. San Francisco week 2, Jacksonville week 3, Tennessee, Tampa, Minnesota, New Orleans on a Monday night, Arizona, and St. Louis. That's either 7-1 or 8-0.
Right.
So then they're tough
I'm
road
not even,
games.
this Christine Michael as a backup running back, really solid. I think that, I'm not even really too worried about injuries with this team. That's 11. What's their over-under?
Where do you
It's
stand
11.
on the name Christine for an NFL running back?
I don't love it right off the bat because you know what? I did some research. That's a girl's name.
Really strange name, right?
It is.
Like if I said supermodel or NFL running back, 100 people out of 100 would say supermodel.
What's worth? You're leaving
Christine Michelle.
You're leaving the hospital. Yeah, I agree. You have 2 birth certificates. One is your son is named Christine. The other's Jonathan.
Do you think this
with
is
3 H's? What?
In 1A.
What's your return?
You think that was another birth certificate
It
accident?
could be.
I feel like Dwayne Wade should start doing PSAs like, hello, I'm Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
My whole life I've had a name that's spelled with a Y before
Right.
the A.
There's a lot
And
worse.
it gets very confusing when I'm doing restaurant reservations. And I'd like to speak out now about birth certificate misspellings.
Yeah. 11 wins. They're at 11. And, are they at 10.5? Oh, 10.5.
I like the over.
I like the over slightly. I think they're.
I think it'd be
11 and
really
5.
hard for this team to lose 6 games. I would not bet this, though, because, again, they're on pace to have every player on the team get suspended
But
for
you think that'll
PDs by
happen
2017.
Right, but that'll happen this year.
They're averaging 6 a year.
They actually, they said Lamar Odom, if he fails another drug test, they're going to bring him in to try out
Oh, too soon.
They love it. They love the failed drug test.
As long as Russell Wilson doesn't fail a PED test, I don't care who else on the Seahawks does.
Well, you're with them. You see what he takes in the
I know
bedroom.
he's clean.
You see the medicine
He
cabinet.
stops at those healthy stores all
Gus
the time.
Bradley losing the defensive coordinator to Jacksonville is big, but they picked up Antoine Winfield from the Vikings. That's big. I love this team. Love them. Super Bowl.
You just, and this is the main reason why I picked them as the sleeper last year. That home field advantage, when you just know you're going 7-1 or 8-0 at home, like it's really hard not to win 10 games.
Yeah.
If they have a good enough team that they should just not lose at home ever. It's interesting though, Seattle's becoming more of a soccer town. I hope they remember to bring the football thunder. Yeah. They're like Soccer Central now.
Oh, no. Yeah. How did that happen?
They lost the Sonics. It's like...
I look forward
I'm okay with their soccer revolution. I like soccer more than you.
The Rams.
Arizona.
Oh, all right, Arizona.
Arizona's gotten a lot of buzz. A lot of buzz. People like the Honey Badger.
You know what? I like them. And then I took my pregnant wife to Arizona, 109-degree heat, on our anniversary.
Pregnant, angry wife.
Pregnant, angry. Goes
because you're having a third kid.
Yeah, it's a third boy.
She's not happy about it.
No, she's not happy. She's carrying another boy. But so I figured I'd make it up to her, bring it to Arizona. You don't get to see the Cowboys in a preseason game.
Oh, especially the weather's nice that time of year in Phoenix.
109. I didn't think it would go to 112, but it did. And
when you're pregnant, it's not like the heat's going to bother you.
And the Cowboys turned the ball over 6 times and lost. I deserve that.
Happy anniversary.
Exactly. But the Cardinals stacked that offensive line. That Jonathan Cooper they drafted, now he's injured. And
he's not just injured, he broke his leg.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Yeah, that's not good. And Mendenhall says there's something loose in his knee. I'm sort of down on it. I mean, I think Carson Palmer will create a nice little thing with Fitzgerald, but I don't know. It's not the division to be in. It just is not.
I feel bad for Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
When Carson Palmer shows up and you're just more relieved than you've ever been about anything, that's a sign.
And the management's like, hey, what do you think? Well, we did it for you. We hooked you up.
He's like, well, you can complete a 20-yard pass, so thanks.
Yeah. What year is this?
So they have a really tough stretch. I mean, they could be potentially 3-2 going into this stretch.
Yeah.
At San Francisco, 4 days later, Seattle at home on a Thursday night, and then Atlanta 10 days later, bye week, Houston.
Yeah.
That's 0-4. They're not winning any of those games.
Their December's not great either. At Philly, St. Louis, at Tennessee, at Seattle, and San Francisco. So they got to do all their winning in the beginning.
I'm going under on
them. I feel bad. I'm sorry, Bruce.
Oh, wait,
Arians.
the under's 5.5.
I have it right at 5. It's nothing.
But you get major odds. It's -175 for the under.
Really? God.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, for the over.
Oh, for the over.
So if you're betting 6 wins or more, you have to lay 175 to 100.
I like 5. I think they're.
The Cooper thing was bad.
Yeah.
He was the first-round pick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good to lose your first-round pick.
Overall.
You don't want to lose your first-round pick before the season starts. And also, Mason Barnwell did a whole thing on Grantland about how bad it is for offensive linemen to break their legs.
Yeah.
Not that it's good for other people to break their legs, but it's just they're 325-pound guys.
Sure.
You know, with like a leg. It's just not great.
It's almost better to just shoot them like a horse.
They've talked about that.
Yeah. And now the Rams.
Why do the Rams leave me lukewarm?
See, it's tough. I think Jeff Fisher's a really good coach, so you don't want to think that he's going to do much worse than 7 or 8 wins. But and they were 4-1-1 against the NFC West last year. But I don't think they do Bradford
That was an amazing stat, right?
Yeah, and they should have been 5-1. They should have won that game that they tied. But I don't know. I don't like going into the year with Darrell Richardson and Isaiah Peed as your running backs. They drafted Trayvon Austin. They helped them out at wide receiver. But this team needs to score points to win in that division. I don't think they're going to do it. Look at their road games this year. Listen to this. Now, we've been at Houston, at Atlanta, at Indy, and at San Fran, at Seattle.
Oof.
How did they win? 1-4 out of those?
So, a couple Sam Bradford facts.
Yeah.
He's been in the league 3 years. Last year was his best year, 3,700 yards, 21 TDs. Now, you could say he never had... The case for Sam Bradford would be he's never had anybody. Amendola was the best receiver he had. He always got hurt. Other than that, it's all these guys that are always available on your free agent fantasy wire. And now that Chris Givens might be pretty good. Austin, everybody likes... He'll get drafted. We have our auction coming up. Yeah. Somebody will spend $7 more on him than he should go for.
Yeah, 4 games a year. You're going against really good cornerbacks.
I thought Steven Jackson was great for them.
Yeah.
And, you know, you think like the quarterback wasn't doing that well anyway. Now you've significantly downgraded your running backs.
Right.
You're in a really tough division. You're not going to be able to run the ball. You're playing San Fran and Seattle 4 times. They're not going to respect your run at all.
Have to
I
run
think
it
this
against
goes
those
bad.
teams. I don't like it either. I like that Alec Ogletree, the linebacker from Georgia they drafted, but
Well, here's the thing. If they don't win in week 1, they're home, Arizona at home.
yeah.
Then they go at Atlanta, at Dallas, San Francisco home on a Thursday. That's 0-3. They're not winning any of those.
What's their number?
Their number is
7.5.
I'm going under.
That's high.
Under.
I like them at 6, and you get even money for under. So I think we took everyone in that division under.
I still like I got to say, I like the NFC South more.
You do?
I do. I think I like their division more. I think from top to bottom, that's the best out of the 3 we just did.
Wow.
I think
I don't think Tampa has a chance.
I think Carolina and Tampa are better than the Rams and Arizona.
Miserable schedule for Carolina.
I just think they're better football teams.
Yeah. Maybe.
Carolina's got the Cam Newton thing.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa, freaking Josh Freeman.
Seattle's winning the conference, I think. San Fran's making the playoffs. And we haven't talked about the NFC.
No, we're going to bring Joe House in. So
should we do the odds for the division?
Oh yeah, let's do the odds. San Francisco is 2-3. Seattle's even.
And it's a coin flip.
Rams are 3-1. Arizona's 5-1.
Yeah.
Seattle at even's pretty enticing.
Yeah.
That'd be fun to root for. And then they have if you took Seattle at even, you'd be able to go against it on December 8th.
Right.
When they play the Niners in Seattle.
If you can figure this division and the South out, you've done a good job.
All right, we're going to have an awkward edit, and then suddenly Joe House is going to be sitting here. Watch this. In 3, 2, 1, boom. As promised, Joe House magically materialized. We like putting him in the middle because then his head bobs back and forth.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. NFC East, you guys both have favorite teams in this division.
Yeah.
Dallas, the Washington professional football team. Here are the odds for the NFC East. 8-5 for the Giants. 6-5 for the Cowboys, 2-1 for the Redskins, 3-1 for the Eagles. Dare I say, the closest group of 4 teams.
Isn't this the only division where all 4 teams can win? I don't even know if there's another one. Is there another division that 3 teams can win?
Maybe the NFC South.
NFC South?
Maybe the NFC South.
I don't know.
No, I think you could talk me into all 4 teams winning the NFC North. It's not improbable.
Really? Yeah. All right.
Right? The Browns are only 4-1. So, Sal, tell us about your team, the Dallas Cowboys.
All right. Well, maybe I should say it this way, because here's what you need to know about playing for the Cowboys and what a stink there is on it these days. You guys know a guy named Brandon Moore? You know who that is?
Yeah.
Brandon Moore is a guy who caused the butt fumble on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
He's a guard for the Jets, and Sanchez ran into his ass. He fumbled it and was returned for a touchdown. The Patriots beat him on Thanksgiving by like 50 points. The Cowboys signed this guy like a month ago. And on the way to the airport or somewhere, he decided he was going to retire. Rather than play for the Cowboys, he would rather be known as the guy who caused the fumble with his ass. That is his legacy. I'm not going to chance it. I'm not going to play for this team. That's what I'll be known as. So that's a good sign going into 2013.
What was your record last year? 8-8, 9-7, 7-9? Somewhere in the middle. 8-8?
We were 8-8, but we were 8-7 going into last.
It was a really good 8-8. So
no, you were 9-7 because the Redskins finished at 10-6.
No, because if we would have stop it. You know what you're doing. You're rubbing it in there.
But I'm not rubbing anything.
How are we not having food? I get hungry.
I'm just
looking
glad
at the house out.
to be back here in your company. This really is full circle now.
Yeah.
This whole thing with our eating and everything started last year with that game.
It did, right?
To win the division, yes.
Yeah.
And here we are. We're back. There may be some food in our future, hopefully soon.
As soon as we finish this,
this can go. It can go one of 2 ways with rivals that really had something great happen with one another.
Right. Yeah.
Like Frazier and Ali, like real hatred by Frazier his whole life, and they never got over it.
Yeah.
Like Sampras and Agassi, I feel like are on good terms, right? Bird and Magic, they love each other. They talk to each other all the time. You guys are more Bird and Magic, I feel like.
I like that.
Like you've risen from this epic event, House Seats 3, and there's a mutual respect now.
Yeah. I like that.
I think on the Magic. Magic eats a little bit more than Bird. I mean, you see the pictures with the Jamba Juice?
Yeah. The legend let himself go a little bit. But you can do that when you're the legend.
Yeah.
Why is Dallas better than they were last year? I mean, just make the case. I don't think they are.
I think The offensive line is just, it's such a question mark every year. And I don't doubt that we'll be 31st. I'm going to say, 31st in the league in rushing again. But we're going to score a lot of points. Is it possible to be 31st? I just think let Romo do his thing. Dez Bryant looks like a monster. I think if he plays 16 games, Romo plays 16 games, I think they're right around the playoff spot right there. I don't know.
Is DeMarco Murray you're just going to assume he's going to get hurt for 6 games now, like you factor that in?
Yeah,
or is there any way he can play 16?
I don't know. I wouldn't bet on it. You know, I like Dunbar as a backup, and I don't like Murray in that spot. But
So you scared of the Cowboys?
Yeah, I'm glad that you asked, because I was going to step on Sal a little bit and say, by the way, I felt left out with all the cursing. The Cowboys scared the out of me. Honestly.
Really?
And I was scared with 3 minutes left in the 17th game of the season last year when the Cowboys had the ball and we're moving down the field, and then Romo did a Romo. And it was the only thing that really separated the Cowboys from the Redskins at the end of the year in that game, and it's the reason the Cowboys didn't win. But I honestly think that the Cowboys are going to win the division this year.
Wow.
Jason Garrett not calling plays this year.
But you have like that weirdo Bill Callahan's coaching. Like
Bill Callahan's the offensive coordinator.
He's kind of one of those Dave Wannstedt type guys who got all these great jobs once upon a time and is now like fighting for work now.
Yeah.
Like Dave Wannstedt's like a special teams coach now or something.
I think it's going to work.
He was a head coach at 2 NFL teams.
He did everything and went to college in Pittsburgh and everything. They got.
I thought he was a disaster at Nebraska though.
He was bad. Lane Kiffin.
And Lombardi, who accused him of throwing the Super Bowl?
Wannstedt?
No, Bill Callahan.
Oh,
remember that guy in the Raiders said he threw the. He kind of accused him of throwing the Super Bowl.
Right? Tim Brown as the receiver. That's right.
That was weird.
Yeah.
So congrats on that hire.
Listen, we have a 73-year-old defensive coordinator in Lane Kiffin. I thought he was dead, honestly, when we covered him.
Not Lane Kiffin. It's his dad, right? What's his dad's name?
Marty, right? What's his first name?
Monty Kiffin.
Monty Kiffin.
Yeah.
Grandpa,
Lane is
or Grandpa, as his grandchildren call him. Grandpa Kiffin.
Listen, it's the whole Chuck Strong thing. You hire like a 105-year-old guy.
Oh, and you hope like he has health problems. That's
exactly.
interesting.
Yeah.
So they should have even gone older.
Right.
Maybe get like an 87-year-old.
Yeah. Like
Is Marv Levy still alive?
Marv Levy would have been a really good hire.
I say bring Zsa Zsa Gabor in as the team ambassador.
She's
on her way out.
Yeah.
I disagree with House. I will say though that the NFC East teams get to play the AFC West, which is nice.
That helps.
Unless Kansas City's good, but at least you know you have the 2 crap teams that you're going against.
Over/under's 8.5.
I don't like
December as always. At Chicago, home for Green Bay. At Washington, home for Philly.
It's a classic Dallas December.
Yeah.
I mean, that you can. It doesn't break your brain to come up with 1 and 3.
Right.
I think 8-8. I like them the least out of all 4 teams.
I went over. I said 9. I know it's wishful thinking.
I think they're going to win 10.
It's 8.5. I'm going under. Let's talk about the Giants. Really tough schedule last year. Had some bad luck. If David Wilson isn't good, this team's kind of in trouble, right? They have a lot on his plate. I can't see the Giants succeeding without a good running back. I thought he looked kind of scary last year in a good way. But he's fumble prone, and I don't know. It's a lot of. If he doesn't work out, there's no plan B.
Yeah, it's not the Brandon Jacobs, Rodney Hampton days in December where they just load up and they run the ball down your throat and then add Eli's touch to it. I think they could be in a little trouble. I am completely biased. I hate the Giants more than any other team. I have them at 7 wins.
Whoa.
I know it's bad. It's bad, but they lost Humanura. What else? Tuck only had 9 sacks in the last 2 seasons. It's all their defense, really.
Well, Tuck was banged up last year.
Yeah, but in 2 seasons, I think he's sort of overrated for this. I have him at 7 and 9. Steve Brown is out, safety.
Here's what I don't like. This is their first 6 games at Dallas Sunday night.
Loss.
Home for Denver, week 2. Now no Von Miller in that game.
Mm-hmm.
At Carolina, week 3, one of those sneaky, terrible Eli games, right, where they're favored by 3.5 in Carolina, and he sucks, and they somehow lose. All the Giant
killed him on
fans.
that Thursday night in Carolina, so maybe there's a little.
Oh, the Giants killed the Panthers.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Right.
At Kansas City, week 4.
Not easy.
Philly, week 5 at home, and then at Chicago on a Thursday night. week 6. They have to be 3-3 coming out of that. Maybe 4-2. 2-4 would be tough, right, House?
Yeah, 2-4 would be tough.
They don't play your Skins until December 1st. Is that right, Simmons?
Yep.
Oh, so we would do
Sunday nighter
in December.
They have 2 easy games in the whole schedule: Oakland and San Diego. And that San Diego's at San Diego, following and at Washington. So they go at Washington, at San Diego, and then the last 3: home for Seattle, at Detroit, home for Washington. And it feels like a typical Giants season, right? They'll be 8-7 going into that Washington game, and somehow 19 different playoff possibilities will be at
stake. There's a very good chance all these teams are 8-7 going to the last year. But
what do you think about the Giants?
I agree. They have the best coach in the division, so that's the thing that makes me think that it's another 8 or 9 or 10 win Giants team, depending on kind of how the breaks go, whether that defense stays healthy or not. The defense, being unhealthy for the stretch run, that was it.
Well, Hakeem Nicks was hurt last year for much of the year.
That is big.
Randall was a rookie, Ruben Randall. Now, if they have a healthy Nicks, Victor Cruz, and Randall, and Randall's good, and who knows if he's good, but he looked pretty good last year.
They switched out Martellus Bennett for Myers, the tight end on the Raiders.
Right, Brandon Myers.
Yeah.
So if they have 3 good receivers, this could be like one of those big Eli years, maybe.
Right.
I'm going to look at his stats.
It's all their defense, though.
It's all their defense. I agree.
So Eli threw for 49-33 in 2011 and was 39-48 last year.
Yeah.
Maybe he just throws for 5,000 yards this year.
Yeah.
Their over-under is 9, which is just perfect. You could bet them exactly plus 500 that they'll go 9-7. That's actually kind of a nice bet.
I like that one.
You could go against that in week 17 with the Redskins. They'll be 9-6 or 8-7 in that game, I'm guessing. All right.
I like that under.
The next team that is in this 8-8 to 10-6 vortex is the Washington Redskins.
Oh,
that's your team.
Oh, it's my turn. Yeah, I agree.
Oh, I said Redskins. I was not going to say that this year. I'm on the bandwagon, not saying Redskins
anymore. Is that right?
Anymore.
Why?
Yeah. It's offensive to people. It's like genuinely offensive.
I'm hearing this for the first time.
Yeah, it is. It's not a nice thing to say. So, the Washington Redskins, RG3 is the 29th straight athlete who suffered a major knee injury, is ahead of schedule.
Well, Dr. James Andrews is a miracle worker, and he was on the sidelines when RG3 got hurt. So, I mean, the treatment started that minute. I mean, the second that RG3 came off, there's footage of him going into a little shed on the sidelines where some assessment was taking place. I think that they immediately began treatment that very moment. So if you do the schedule
surgery
from December to September, that's a reasonable length of time.
Oh, come on. No way.
3H.
I don't believe it.
Well, I don't care about any of it. The Redskins season comes down to 2 knees. His knee and, honestly, Brandon Merriweather's knee.
Why do you care about him?
Because they had the 30th ranked pass defense last year.
And you're counting on him?
No, I'm not counting on anybody. They didn't have him. Him coming back is your only hope for stability. They're planning on starting 2 rookies in the secondary. One whose name is Bakari Rambo.
Bakari Rambo?
That's a pretty good football name. So
he spells it with
like
3
that.
H's, though.
Right. Bakari has a bunch of C's. I know that much. And maybe some R's. And a guy named David Amerson, who I keep calling Anderson, but it's not Anderson, it's Amerson.
Emerson.
Yeah. D'Angelo Hall is gone. I'm not sure which way that cuts. But, that's the huge question mark with this team, in addition to RG3's knee. What's that secondary going to do? Now, they're hoping to, limit some of the impact of the vulnerability of the secondary by the return of Brian Orakpo.
Linebackers are so good.
Up front pressure.
You lost Carricker already, though. You don't
we never really had him.
Right.
I mean, he hasn't really played ever. But Ryan Kerrigan and Orakpo, that's a great combo.
What draft picks did you not have because of the RG3 trade this year?
No first round.
So you had no first rounder this year?
And a late second rounder.
Would you say that you overachieved a little in the last season? Easy schedule, took teams by surprise?
I think they achieved appropriately. I think they...
Were they 10-6?
10-6.
I felt like it was a slight overachieve.
And they won 5 straight games.
You never should have won the Falcons game. That was one of the garbage wins of the year.
I don't know. There's wins and losses.
I'm going to say
9-6.
It was a 10-6 overachieve and now you have no first-round pick. Schedule's not easy.
Here are your road games outside the division, which is always tough anyway. At Denver, at Green Bay, at Atlanta, at Minnesota.
I like one of those 4 games.
That's tough, right?
Yeah, that's tough.
The other thing is,
they don't make it worth it to win the division.
Right.
You play at Minnesota on a Thursday night. You open the season on a Monday night against that Philly team that nobody's even been able to scout.
Right.
Like that might be a really tough team to play.
Yeah.
Let's say you lose that game house at Green Bay week 2.
I'm not saying that, but you can say that.
Let's say
okay.
At Green Bay week 2, Detroit week 3, at Oakland week 4. Don't you feel like you have to be 3-1 coming out of those first 4?
I don't know. 2-2 seems reasonable.
Well, 2-2, then you still have at Dallas, at Denver, at Minnesota, at Philly, at Atlanta, at the Giants, San Francisco on a Monday night.
The last 3.
You just said Dallas was the best team in the division.
But that doesn't mean the Redskins can't beat them twice.
Well, that's true.
At Atlanta, Dallas, and at the Giants. That's a tough last 3, I think.
It is a tough last 3.
So their over is 8.5, which is really one of the best ones we've had. I think they go 8-8. I think it's an 8-8 team. And I don't trust Griffin's knee.
That's my issue.
How do we even know if his knee's going to be good?
I think it'll be great if we get 12, if he actually plays in 12 games. And I don't even know if he's going to play in 12 full games, but I think it would be great if he plays in 12 games, and I don't.
And also, you have the Pierre Garçon, Santana Moss. Like, who knows if those guys play 16 games?
Well, Garçon is supposed to be 110% recovered from his foot problem. Like, he's been killing it preseason. All the reports are how good he looks and how comfortable everybody is with the receiving core. So that part I feel good about,
You know how I feel about that information? Because I had him on my fantasy team last year and he murdered it.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to say you.
Wow.
Yeah. You, Pierre Garçon.
Wow.
For killing my team.
It was his foot. He had a foot problem.
I don't care.
Say it to his face. We got to get him on here. 9-7, I said.
Jerk. How dare you get injured?
And I said 8-8. So
well, you have my team winning division. I have your team winning division. I think 9-7's enough.
I think that team has a chance to be actually bad.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, think about like what it takes for a team to suddenly become bad, and we're like, oh my God, that team's going to go 4-12. There's always 2 or 3 of those teams every year.
Right.
That's a team to me. Like they didn't even have a first-round pick. Griffin's knee. Raheem Morris is now involved in the defense.
It's not crazy. They were 5-6.
They overachieved last year.
They were 5-6, through 11 games last year. So it's not nuts.
Possible tough division. I don't know. I'm going to say slight under, but wouldn't shock me if they went 4-12.
Well, I'm still excited.
Now let's talk about Philly because I irrationally like this Philly team.
You like them?
I really do.
I like them too.
I like the coach.
I try not to like them.
That's funny.
We see it every.
I don't like them one bit.
We see it every year. The coach comes in. Every year there's one coach who's worth 5 wins.
Yeah.
This is a team that he's an offensive coach, and this team doesn't have a problem on offense. This team has a defense problem.
Yeah, but it's more like the whole. I think there was a little malaise with Andy Reid.
I
he needed to go. There was so much baggage with that dude, and he'd just been there too long, and he had this stuff happen with his son, and it was just everything about it. It felt like it was time for him to leave, and everybody felt that way. He'd gone in big on Vic, and I don't know.
Here's what worries me. They could be like the Lions, last year's Lions, where they're just Lions. Their offense was so precise. Whatever, they're on the field. They're averaging a play in preseason like every 21 seconds or something. That puts a lot of pressure on your defense.
Really does.
The defense is switching to a 3-4, which is hard enough to do when you're not on the field all the time. That's the only thing. I don't know if that's going to all work out for Chip Kelly. But that said, I do have them winning 8 games.
I think he's going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to watching them.
I think 7's their season.
The over is 7.5, and I'm going over. I'm saying well over.
Well,
I think 9-7 or 10-6 for them.
Wow. Did you see their first 6?
Yeah, I did.
At Washington, at Denver, at the Giants,
I think they're going to beat Washington.
Tampa.
That sounds like 1 and 3 to me.
That's 4 of the first 6 are on the road.
They go at Washington on a Monday night. Home for San Diego, win. Home for KC 4 days later, which is great for them.
Yep.
At Denver in Week 4, no Von Miller in that game. At New York Giants, at Tampa, they just had to split one of those. Or they did go 1-1 in those. They need to be 4-2 after those first 6.
You're not worried about Michael Vick. You're worried about RG3 starting 12 games. But Vic, you think he makes it the distance?
Listen, that's beside the point.
No, I'm wondering. I have more faith in Cousins than Foles.
It's a good point.
That's fair.
It's tough.
It's fair. I like Matt Barkley a little bit too.
Yeah. You can get in there.
I don't know. I just like the Chip Kelly thing. I'm in on Chip Kelly. Every year there's the one coach, and everybody gets fired up about him. Everything I've read, I like what I'm reading.
But we agree this is the one division any of the four can win.
Yeah. And also, can we agree no team in this division wins 11 games?
Yeah.
I'll go in on that.
It'll all be between like 7 and 10.
Yeah.
Over under 2.5 teams in the division have 8 wins going into the last game.
I don't know.
Exactly 8 wins.
So we have Giants at 8-5, Dallas at 6-5, Washington at 2-1, and Philly at 3-1.
I think you're in a division.
I like Philly. I would take 3-1 for Philly in that.
It's really tough to bet the division odds. You have 2 quarterbacks that may not last the season. Romo certainly gets hurt behind that offensive line. Might as well have 3. I think you have to wait this one out.
NFC Championship, San Francisco 5-2.
Yeah.
These are the Caesars lines.
Mm-hmm.
San Francisco 5-2, Green Bay 4-1, Seattle 5-2, Atlanta 6-1.
Wow.
New Orleans 8-1.
Mm-hmm.
Giants 8-1, which I don't get. Then everybody else is double digits. The one interesting one is,
I think New Orleans and Atlanta are worth taking a shot at. My thing has them at 8-1 and 12-1.
I like New Orleans.
Who's 12-1? New Orleans?
Yeah.
I like New Orleans,
I was
too.
disappointed to be sitting on the bench listening to you guys all express your enthusiasm for New Orleans.
You agree on the FU mode
team.
for them?
Yes. That team was important.
Now he's going to bring
Plus
up
the
New
dome,
Orleans.
too.
I was ready for it.
Damn.
You have
a soft spot for New Orleans.
I have a very soft spot for New Orleans.
It's literally a soft spot. It's your
soft.
belly.
It is.
The New Orleans 12-1.
Maybe that's our thing.
Well, would we agree that the NFC West, whoever comes out of the NFC West gets one of the 2 seeds, one of the top 2 seeds.
Yeah.
So that other seed is up for grabs. Mm-hmm. And we just spelled out all the reasons why we don't love any of the NFC North teams. We don't think any of the NFC East teams are going to win more than 10.
Right.
So that NFC South team is going to get a 1 or a 2 seed, whoever comes out. And if it's the Saints, and they get a bye week in round 1, and they get a home game in round 2, and now you're taking them in the title with 12-1 odds.
Yeah.
That's the best conference bet on the board.
You don't want them going to Seattle. You don't want them going to San Francisco for any of the playoff games.
They lose.
Why couldn't we bet Atlanta and New Orleans?
Yeah. Let's do
I like it both.
8-1 and 12-1.
Let's do that right now.
So that's it for part 2 of the Over-Under podcast from Las Vegas, Nevada, Planet Hollywood. We're going to do part 3. We're going to do props.
Yeah.
The quarterback, receiving, we like those bets. We like first coach to get fired. They have a worst team bet this year that I think we should discuss. You can bet on who the worst team is, House.
That's fun.
But first we're going to have lunch. We're going to need Planet Daily. We need to feed both of these guys. Part 3, BS Report coming up.
Target to set off. Whoa!
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Podcenter at ESPNRadio.com.
Peace out.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.